Hey guys, it's me the American, and today we have the SLR-104UR, a short Bulgarian rifle that mimics the Russian AKS-74U. This shortened AK-74 design, also known as a Krinkov in the United States, is intended for vehicle crewmen and aviation personnel. The 8.5-inch barrel dwarfs its bigger brother, the AK-74. With half of the barrel length compared to the full-sized AK-74 rifles, it's just no wonder that the SLR-104UR is praised for its compact profile. The SLR-104UR Krinkov has many parts in common with the AK-74 and the AKS-74 series rifles. The trigger, hammer, sears, rivets, bolts, pistol grip, and magazine are all interchangeable between the three rifle designs, and they also fire the 545x39 cartridge. The folding stock is only interchangeable between the AKS-74 styled rifles and the SLR-104UR. The parts that make this AK unique are the gas block, which is the front gas block and front sight combo, shorter handguards, and you also have the hinged dust cover. It actually pivots on a pivoting pin there. Rear sight, which is attached to the rear dust cover, and the shortened gas system that is 8.5 inches long. Unfortunately, the SLR-104UR cannot mount a standard AK-74 bayonet. Here's the rear sight arrangement for this rifle. Notice the Pakoi red end mark. This is a marking meant to be used from 0 to 300 meters. Flipping the rear sight down will expose the 400 to 500 meter sight leaf. This is a little bit optimistic for this type of rifle. For the accuracy and keyholing test, we'll be firing the rifle from the 100 meter line at the bullet hole shooting range. Our first round on the test will be the Monarch 545x39 60 grain full metal jacket round. This is essentially Barnoul's Brown Bear 545 in 60 grains. It's just been rebranded. If you look real close, you can actually see the little 545 bullet coming into the target from the left. Here is Wolf's WPA Military Classic 545 cartridge with a 55 grain hollow point bullet. Now, I will share something with y'all guys. The round itself, it jumped a little bit more than those 60 grainers that I was shooting earlier. This group in the center of the target is the Monarch 60 grain full metal jacket. Now, I'm not the worst shot in the world, but the Crink sights, they really just don't lend themselves well to longer range engagements. Now, this top grouping was with the WPA 55 grain hollow points. Both groupings did not exhibit any type of keyholing whatsoever at 100 meters. And last on our testing is the 52 grain 7N6 cartridge. Now, this stuff is pretty hot. I shot a couple of rounds to the little Crink and it jumped around quite a bit. A lot more than the Monarch 60 grains. Well, let's go ahead and check out the target and see how it does. Here you can see the difference between the 7N6 bullet and the Monarch 60 grain bullet. The 7N6 is traveling at a lot faster velocity, and it prints a lot higher on target. These little pieces of orange tape are to cover the holes of the Monarch 60 grainers that I checked my zero with, just to make sure that I was on target. With all rounds tested, no keyholing whatsoever. After firing hundreds of rounds through this rifle, I've come to an interesting realization. I have what's called Crink Thumb. It's caused by my grip on the shorter handguards, and my thumb lines up almost perfectly with the gas pressure release ports on the front gas block. Those ports help decrease gas pressures to a safe level when cycling. Now, you have to fire quite a few rounds. I probably fired about 150 to 200 rounds through the session that you've seen on the video, and you can see the darkness on my thumb. It's faded a little bit, but it is still there. And also I have that mark, whoops, a little bit too far there, have that mark on my palm, right there at the joint. All that gas was pushed back from these ports from this area into my thumb area. Disassembly and assembly of the SLR-104UR is as follows. First, make sure your rifle is clear. Make sure it is clear and pointing in a safe direction. Take out the magazine. Top cover just pops up after you push this right here, this button in the back, which is your recoil spring. Recoil spring comes out. Bolt comes out with bolt carrier. And this piston right here is very short compared to most 16-inch pistons. The bolt is the same as the AK-74 series. Top handguard comes off for cleaning of the gas port if required. And the trigger system in here is just the standard AK-74 trigger system. Single hook. Now, the one thing about arsenals is that a lot of them come with this two-stage trigger system. The trigger comes to a breaking point right there, and there's a small ridge on the hammer. When it breaks, then it goes forward. Most AKs, 99% of AK-styled rifles, have a single action trigger system, which is just pulling back and the hammer going forward. The two-stage trigger system, I actually don't really like it too much. I'm going to replace it out with a single stage because I just feel that the trigger pull is just too gritty, and for accuracy, it doesn't really work out for me. Standard safety selector. And to put this all back together, first, you're going to put your upper gas tube up, your bolt lined up, push down into the receiver, push forward, recoil spring inserted, and last but not least, you will lower the dust cover, which is captive to the rear sight block, and it just snaps right in. And there you have it, assembly and disassembly of the SLR-104UR rifle. The muzzle device that I favor for the Arsenal SLR-104UR is the JMac AK-104, AK-105 booster system designed for shorter barreled rifles. This is timed correctly, right here as you can see, for the front sight gas block detent pin, and it lines up perfectly with the bore. Now, that is nice, for keeping it all original and keeping it looking like a Crink, but I prefer a flash hider. This flash hider was specifically designed for the Ukrainian Special Forces in the current war that is still ongoing, and it is threaded for this threading system. This flash hider right here cuts down on lots of the flash. I would say about 95 to 98% of the flash that comes out of this short barrel rifle, which can be very extensive, and you will see in the upcoming video how big the flash can actually be. Before we begin, all muzzle device testing was done with Monarch 60 grain full metal jacket ammunition. The first device up for testing is the AK-104/105 booster from JMac Customs. It's really great at what it does. It throws all the flash forward, and on top of that, it doesn't obscure the iron sights in dusk conditions. Here are some slow motion scenes of the JMac booster in action. As you notice, all the flame gets thrown forward, which is very nice on the eyes. The Ukrainian SF flash hider in 24mm thread pitch is my favorite muzzle attachment for this little Crink. I mean, seriously, it's awesome. This Crink has an 8-inch barrel and there's virtually no flash coming out of it whatsoever.
Little rifle for little people.
Notice the ringing noise after each shot. This is a characteristic of this flash hider. It actually uses a tuning fork type of mechanism to help quell the flash. All in all, the SLR-104UR has been a great rifle. I mean, small package, definitely 100% reliable with anything that I fed it. And on top of that, it's a fan favorite of all of my friends. They loved shooting it, and I'll tell you what, you will too.
Wow, that is great. Golly. It's like a #1 Krinkov shooter right there.
You flatter me.
You did pretty good. I mean, man, like such a great target. It's all in the center mass.
Alright guys, well, that's the mayor's first impression of the Arsenal SLR-104UR rifle. A big shout out to my friends at the Bullet Hole. They're awesome with new shooters. The range officers there will definitely help you out with anything that you need. Nice and kind staff, and believe me, they're friends of the mayor, so you'll love them. Also, a big shout out to JMac Customs for providing me with the AK-104-105 booster. It looks great on my SLR-104, and it does the job 100% as it should. Alright guys, well, that's the mayor. Remember to like my videos, like them. Helps me get to the top of the YouTube charts. Subscribe. It makes sure that me over here, I can go ahead and get some good footage for y'all guys to enjoy. Well, remember, I review this stuff right here, so you don't have to. Well, that's the mayor. Thanks for watching.